Hey guys, it's Des with Criminally Focused. Today we're going to take a trip down the tracks to East Palestine, Ohio, which is located along the Pennsylvania border and about 40 miles northwest of Pittsburgh. Considered by some to be a hidden gem, East Palestine was founded in 1828 and as of 2020 has approximately 4,761 people that call the town home. As you enter the town, you're greeted by a friendly, yet now eerie welcome sign. Welcome to East Palestine, Ohio, where you want to be. Unfortunately, I'm not exactly sure East Palestine is where many people want to be anymore. This once hidden gem is now not so hidden and instead the center of national attention after becoming the site of a historical disaster that will impact East Palestine as well as the world forever. On February 3rd, 2023, at 8:54 p.m., a Norfolk Southern train carrying hazardous materials derailed and caught fire, causing oil and chemicals to spill out everywhere. In the days following the derailment, Norfolk Southern worried that vinyl chloride, one of the chemicals that had spilled into the soil, would catch fire, causing an explosion. And this would send shrapnel throughout the town.
You have not evacuated. Please leave the area.
So, to prevent this, officials conducted a controlled burn, which ironically made everything become even more out of control than it already was. This controlled burn would end up causing a massive explosion, where toxic fumes rained down on the town, not only causing further contamination, but also creating even more damaging chemicals, including phosgene, a chemical used as a chemical warfare agent during World War I. According to the CDC, symptoms after being exposed include coughing, burning sensation in the ears, eyes, and throat, blurred vision, difficulty breathing, nausea, vomiting. People are even reporting that they have burns showing up all over their body, similar to that of a sunburn or a frostbite. But before we talk about some of those nasty chemicals that were spilled into this innocent farming community, because we will, don't worry. First, let's talk about Norfolk Southern. According to their website, they are the nation's premier transporter of industrial products, including agriculture, chemicals, metals, automobile parts, automobiles, etc. In 2019, railroad companies began implementing something called precision scheduled railroading. Briefly, this is a process that, in my opinion, puts profits before safety. Precision scheduled railroading, or PSR, is the operating method of running a railroad for maximum utilization by scheduling and managing trains by their carload rather than the train as a whole. This method significantly cut back on the funds that railroads companies spend reducing expenses and reducing labor. But with all things in life, this method has its pros and its cons. A positive benefit of this method includes basically an increase in the train's efficiency. Before this method was invented, railroad companies focused on moving the train as a whole. If the train wasn't long enough or contained enough cars, then the train would just remain parked. As you can guess, this would delay shipments of materials, causing a loss in revenue for all parties involved. So with PSR, the cars that are loaded first are able to be billed for and shipped out without having to wait for the rest of the train to get big enough. Make sense? The negative side of precision scheduled railroading is that many companies began to focus more on efficiency and reducing costs than on safety. I have listened to reports from crew members stating that their inspection times went from 5 minutes per car to 60 seconds. And if the train crew spent any longer, then they could be reprimanded. This caused, as you can probably guess, rushed inspections, which led to safety concerns being overlooked. Speaking of safety, There are so many areas of concern that we could talk about here, but the media caught my attention when they talked about one specific safety concern. If you're following the case, then you'll know we're about to talk about them brakes.
The train derailed, from what I understand, because the braking system was spitting sparks, or something had happened where for miles it's spitting out sparks on these hazardous material cars and creating a terrible fire hazard even before the derailment.
The majority of trains are still operated on brake technology that dates back to the Civil War era. Not because there's not an updated brake system, because there is. However, as a more expensive alternative, it's not as commonly used. Well, in the US anyways.
It's well known throughout American history that nobody had brakes like the Civil War era brakes. The brakes of the Civil War era are renowned throughout history. Why upgrade them? That would be ridiculous.
Again, profits over safety. This ancient braking system is known as air brakes, and like the name suggests, it uses the power of compressed air to stop each train car individually rather than stop the train as a whole. The alternative method still uses compressed air to brake. However, along with it, they use an electronically wired system, which makes the whole braking system safer and more reliable. However, again, due to the expense of the electronic system, Norfolk Southern, as well as many other railroad companies, stayed with the cheaper, outdated method of brakes. They explained that the cost wasn't worth the benefits. Thanks, dude. We're so glad that you care about our fucking lives, less than you care about your profits. Corporate America at its finest.
Residents had been told that it was safe to return to their homes and communities and that their water was safe to drink. But never mind that, they're now being advised to drink bottled water only. And Norfolk Southern has admitted that it does not know, has no idea how much of the chemicals have gotten into the soil there.
Well, that just makes me sick. The greed shown, in my opinion, by the Norfolk Southern CEOs is disgusting. This company is a multi-billion-dollar company, and yet they decided to be stingy on safety? Let's go over some finances. This is interesting. So in 2020, Norfolk Southern brought in over $12 billion in total revenue. And according to CNN, they paid over $1 billion to its shareholders. The net worth for Norfolk Southern? Almost $52 billion, but yet they couldn't afford a brake system upgrade. Make it make sense, guys, because I can't. Okay, so enough talking about that. I'm getting pissed. Let's talk about the damage this company has caused, which is probably going to make me even more pissed. We are talking about colossal, life-changing damage. The chemicals that came from these train cars themselves were incredibly toxic. Vinyl chloride is a colorless gas that is a brain, lung, and liver carcinogen, whatever, however you say that, meaning it has a high potential to cause cancer if it's ingested. And the cancer it causes? Very rare and incredibly deadly. Officials assured the public that they were able to return home after only 5 days. However, since returning home, many residents of East Palestine have been feeling the effects of these chemicals in their atmosphere. And the animals? Now this is where my heart officially broke. Trigger warning, the videos you're about to see aren't easy, but it's important to see what the high-powered CEOs and government officials are doing to us and trying to hide from us, might I add.
As trains continue to rumble through East Palestine, the rubble from the toxic train derailment on February 3rd is still being cleaned up.
What happens now? I don't want to leave. This is my home.
Darlene Kahn lives within what was at one point the mile evacuation radius. She has cats, a dog, and koi fish in her backyard pond. After returning home when the evacuation was lifted, she noticed a film on top of her pond and 3 of her koi fish dead.
And it's sad because, I like my fish. I put them in there and It's sad.
She says her dog is now experiencing unusual symptoms.
He's having some issues peeing in the house, and he's never done that before. He's got some patches on his skin where he's losing his hair. I don't know why. That scares me.
Well, we have brought you stories of dead animals like fish, foxes, and chickens.
And now we've learned of a household pet that was inside during the derailment that has passed away. First News reporter Desiree Gosselin spoke with the owner. She joins us live now in the studio with more. Des.
Andrea Belden and Zach Kramer have been living with their family in East Palestine since their house burned down 2 years ago. They were just days away from being able to move into their new home, and they were out to dinner when that train derailed in East Palestine. They rushed home to get their relatives and pets to evacuate. Later that night, they noticed that one of their cats, Leo, was sick.
When we got here, I noticed that he was having a hard time breathing. It was very fast. It was very labored. His heart rate was up. I thought that he was just having a panic attack.
They gave Leo food and water and let him rest, but when they checked on him in the morning, he had not moved all night. They immediately took him to an emergency vet clinic in Pittsburgh.
They started to tell me, well, it seems to be run-of-the-mill congestive heart failure.
Vets put Leo on medicine to remove fluid around his heart and lungs, but it wasn't working. Blood work tests show his liver enzymes were about 7 times higher than normal. According to documentation from Pittsburgh Veterinary Specialty and Emergency Clinic, who treated Leo, they believe the cat's condition, quote, could be due to vinyl chloride gases, which are known to cause heart, respiratory, and liver issues in humans.
If this sounds dramatic, it's not. And if you're freaked out, you should be. If these chemicals are affecting our animals this way, how are they going to affect humans? And instead of going to East Palestine, our president went to Ukraine. And our country, our government, continue to lie to us, in my opinion, saying that the water is safe to drink and the residents are not at risk. Bullshit. Tell that to our chickens and the fish in the river. Tell that to the children whose parents are terrified to let them go outside. It's being reported that Norfolk Southern will need to pay $40 to $50 million casualty charge, which equates to 1.7% of their profit. Don't worry, Norfolk, you're going to be just fine after all of this. But East Palestine and the residents are not going to be fine, and it will never be fine again for them.
If the ground is poisoned, if the water is poisoned, it's not a farm anymore.
I think it's all contaminated from the train wreck. All the fish are dead.
Our lips and mouth started to burn. Our tongue started to swell up. It was like a stinging burn, and our eyes were watering. Our eyes were burning, and we realized, we couldn't stay here.
What is your biggest concern?
That I'm going to get cancer and die.
It's like horrific. Those are residents of East Palestine, Ohio, and the surrounding areas opening up for reporters, talking about their fears for their health and safety and the health and safety of their families, their farms, and their pets.
Say hi, Juice. I needed a comfort cat. So, according to CNN, Norfolk Southern said they are going to be given more donations to East Palestine. Approximately $300,000 without condition. So they're going to be giving it to the schools without condition. So that means, I believe, that East Palestine can accept the money and still sue the company in the future. So CNN also reported that Norfolk Southern said it's going to be reimbursing the fire department as well, roughly $825,000 for its equipment. Well, that's good at least. I am glad they're putting some money towards the schools and the children's lives that they potentially just screwed completely over, as well as the fire department, who I completely admire for all that they do. My suggestion to the community of East Palestine, and I'm not a lawyer, obviously, but if you can avoid it, don't sign anything. Don't let the rest of the world forget that this happened. Keep taking your videos and testing your water. Keep track of your symptoms. Write them down. And through all of this, remember to take care of yourself to the best of your ability. Stay strong and, band together. Demand that the media starts showing the truth rather than what the government wants us to see.
Everybody,
And for everyone else, please share this video. Share other videos from Twitter and from other YouTubers that show, the reality of the situation. Reach out and send positive messages to those impacted. And to Norfolk Southern, I think I can speak for many of the East Palestine residents when I say, fuck you. Until next time, guys, stay positive, stay kind, and most of all, stay safe. Oh, and don't forget to hit that like button if you like this video. Please feel free to share it. And if you aren't subscribed, please hit that subscribe button and that notification bell to hear more stories from your girl.